It's always great when you get a new version of a BSD operating system, and here we are with NomadBSD 13.1, based upon FreeBSD 13.1. Right, here we are on the NomadBSD homepage, and the first things first is that we're going to download the latest version of NomadBSD. So click on download, it will take us to the, well, funny enough, the download page, and there is lots of instructions about how to extract the image and burn it to your USB device. And there's lots of options about which version you can choose. You can have the 64-bit, x64 and AMD 64 UFS version, and then there is the 64-bit, x64 and AMD 64 ZFS version. And the difference between them is obviously whether you want UFS or ZFS, which is a new addition to the actual release, as previous releases were really just UFS. So, one thing you will notice, there are lots of different mirrors to download from, and the choice is quite bewildering. But for me, I need England, London. And straight away I noticed that it says, file not downloaded, potential security risk. Now, I know that's false, and I don't know why it kicks in. And the file using insecure connection, it may be corrupted or tampered with during the download process. You can search for an alternative download. So I'm going to allow the download. And it's weird because I've had this once or twice with the NomadBSD website, and I know it's nothing to worry about, but it's something that perhaps needs looking into. Anyway, it's downloading, and I'm just going to leave that and come back when it's finished. Right, so what's different in this latest release? Well, these are changes since the last release. The base system has been updated to FreeBSD 13.1 release patch set 5. There's 2 images per architecture. There's UFS and ZFS, where previously it was just UFS. And updated GPU support, so there's VIA and OpenChrome been added. iBus is used for better keyboard support, for those who need it. Slim has been replaced by SDDM as the display manager. Reduced image size. Unfortunately, LibreOffice has been removed to make this happen. More on that later. NomadBSD update tool has been added. So there's a little bit of in-house utilities being made, which is always a good thing. Right. Here we are. We're booting up. I've burnt it onto a USB stick. Use whichever software that you want to, whichever method you feel best with. I've put it into the test machine and selecting USB device. You might not have to do this yourself if your machine is configured to boot up by USB on its own, but it's a very old machine and it gets a bit stroppy. So we're booting up with NomadBSD, and there it is. It's like FreeBSD, it's got a 9-second countdown. You can interrupt if you wish by pressing enter, or you can select countdown. Everything looks the same as previous releases. I'm just going to fast forward the boot sequence. And there we go. The NomadBSD setup, it starts straight away, which is always good. And you do get a lot of choices of languages, of course. And in this case, I need, if I can find it, there we go, English, United Kingdom. Press next. It says, before you can use NomadBSD, there are some things you need to be set up. The setup will only write to the USB flash drive it's currently running from. It will not change your system. I'm going to choose the keyboard. It's already selected English UK. I'll just press next. And this is for an additional keyboard if you wish it. I don't need that, so I'll just next. And time zone is Europe, London, which is automatically detected, which is good. Password. The password you choose here will be used for your user account and for the administration or root account. So they both share it. And unlike the FreeBSD password system, it actually shows you how many characters are on the screen. That may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. It depends on your point of view. But at least you can count if you've done the same amount. It won't change your spelling if you get that wrong, so make sure you do it right. Right, click next. Encrypt. So this is a nice, neat little feature if you want to encrypt using Geli if you wish. I don't need that, so I'm going to press next. And choose your preferred shell. I prefer SH. Editor, I'm going to leave at that. And change file manager. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, so press next. And there's a brief summary of what we've chosen. It looks okay. It's a very simple setup. I do actually like this a lot. It's you go straight to it without messing about. And that's it, commit. And once that's done, it will expand the image on the USB. It will partition it, and everything will be extracted and ready to go. So I'm going to press the wrong one then. We'll press finish and reboot. Right, so with the same stick still in the machine, you reboot, and this time, instead of the setup, you should get the desktop ready to go. And there we go. I do like NomadBSD's setup and implementation. It's really, really nice and user-friendly. Right, so not much changed in terms of the desktop since last release. These things don't tend to change radically, but there are some differences. You got your date and time on the right hand side. You got network card is not enabled. I'll see to that later. You got keyboard selection there. Is obviously English. Whether the USB storage device. So if you click on that, it will take you to it. And obviously the audio. And you've got a menu if via the traditional taskbar at the top, or you could use the rather nifty little pop-up bar at the bottom for the favorite items. Handbook is there, that's really nice. And speaking of menu at the top, oh dear, look at that, lack of Office, only QPDF view is there, that's a shame. But anyway, you get audio, video, and development, graphics. There's a lot fewer here than there used to be, I can tell you that. Network, Office, lack of Office, settings, system, and utility, and that's about it really. And networks come up, that's nice. And you can right click to achieve the same menu. It's just one of the things which I like. Just open a shell and just change into root. There we go. See, you can use OctoPKG if you want a graphical package installer, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way. Just going to grab the latest package collection and see if there are any upgrades. Well, there we go. Firefox ESR. Okay. So there's just just a few upgrades since the release. Nothing major. Though I wonder why I went for Firefox Extended Service Release. Right, so that's updates been done. So using this method, I installed off-camera AbiWord as perhaps a replacement for the missing LibreOffice. I understand the need to perhaps reduce the size of the overall image, and that's fine. But really, not having any kind of word processing ability in a portable OS, I kind of, I think that's a glaring omission. So at the very least, AbiWord perhaps could be included next time. This is a suggestion, it's their project, I'm just reviewing it. But anyway, let's have a look. Now that that's been done, I'm going to check for some more updates. And this one for the system files, FreeBSD update fetch. And there are one or two, of course. I know they've been fetched, we'll just install. It's exactly the same process, because underneath really it's FreeBSD 13.1 anyway. And all done. Oh, I shouldn't have closed it. Never mind. I'll show you quickly. Right. The NomadBSD update tool, which is I think it's just been introduced in this particular version, and I think it's still in testing, is a command line alternative. So it's like NomadBSD-update. Not many options there. We'll type update for update. And of course, because I've just updated the system, there is none there, but that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. whether or not it will actually be a replacement for the traditional FreeBSD update. Right, so let's have a look at, yeah, there's the graphical package manager if you wanted to install any applications, etc. And it's, I don't know, to me, it's all very well having a graphic package manager, but it feels not as perhaps as smooth as doing it obviously by command line, or perhaps what might be available in other Unix-like OSs. So if we do pkg install htop, there we go. So we're just going to have a look at the system resources. I'm surprised that htop is maybe not installed by default. I'm surprised that because many people maybe from the Linux world who are used to htop would maybe expect it there in a live OS. One thing which I think is fantastic in NomadBSD is the inclusion of a inbuilt handbook, as it were, which is readily accessible via browser. So even if you have no internet connection, you can still access all the various documentations that you need, which is also another reason why I think that you should perhaps include a raw processor or LibreOffice, because if you've got no internet connection, you can't get any work done. If you don't want to run it from USB stick, and you maybe you want to install it as a proper desktop OS, and there is still the NomadBSD installer, a wonderful tool that was introduced quite a while back now, and allows you to, well, it basically copies the image from the USB stick to your hard drive. So you have to be sure you want to erase the hard drive before you use this. And you can choose UFS or ZFS, and you choose a username to log into. So in this case, I'm going to type in Christoph. Oh dear. There's a limit to how many characters. I think is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you choose a username, be aware that for some reason there is an 8-character limit, which is, I don't know. So I'll just type in Chris. You can also log in, use it if you wish. I mean, you might not want to do that. I'm going to do that on this case. I've chosen UFS and I'll install now. And like I say, what it does is it just basically extracts and copies everything from the USB stick to your hard drive. Once that's done, oh, that's pretty cool. It actually installs your video drivers as well. I like that. So it detected that I had an NVIDIA card and installed the drivers. Very nice. So we'll see how that performs. Log out and reboot. Yeah, that's it. Reboot system. I'll remove the, when it's safe to, I'll remove the USB stick and we'll boot into the desktop. There we are. Right, we're now on the installed system, running off hard drive, and we're going to test out one thing which I think is a really good addition, is the ability to use Linux browsers. I've skipped a few steps here, but it does install a few things like a Linuxulator, but here is the finished result, and it's the Brave browser. So it will use the Linux ABIs to run your favorite browser, which is not normally available in FreeBSD. And it works very well. So say, for instance, I'll show you how I did that. If you go to the Linux browser installer, type in your password, and it'll say, which one do you want to install? Google Chrome, Brave, Vivaldi, Opera, or Microsoft Edge for some reason. And we're going to do Chrome. And it will go through installing it. It takes a bit longer on the first run because then it needs to install all the Linux various knickknacks. But the second time you do it or the third time you do it, it's a lot quicker because it's just installing what you want to actually use. And there it is. Make it default browser. I should imagine now you could be able to watch Netflix, etc. There it is. And it runs really well. Considering it's running under the Linuxulator. That's a weird word to say. So it's Google Chrome if you want to use that. So for those people who say you can't watch Netflix, although I haven't heard that for quite a while now, or maybe you can't use Google Chrome or Brave, you can. And one thing which I do like about NomadBSD is they make the choice and the implementation very easy to use. There's Google Chrome. It's the latest one, I think. And YouTube. The slowness comes out of my degraded internet service, unfortunately. Not through the slowness of the system. Right, so we'll type in the world's best YouTube channel. There we are. And click on that. Yeah, there we go. Not too bad. And we'll click on the latest video. Well, the latest at the time when I was doing this. Skip ads. There we go. And it works very well indeed. Let's have a look for stats for nerds. Any drop frames on this? 2 dropped out of 199. No, only 2 drop frames so far. Okay, that's not too bad. So it uses the NVIDIA drivers that was automatically loaded and installed. It's running off the hard drive. And it's a very useful and very competent desktop operating system. Very nice indeed. And like I say, you can load a few more Linux browsers if you wish. And the upgrade button will find any upgrades if there are any. Although I'm not sure whether or not it's just reinstalling. Probably just reinstalling on this point. But if there are any updates, it will update your browsers. Right, we're going to plug in some USB sticks and see how the system, if it automatically recognizes and mounts them. So the first one I'm going to plug in will be the USB stick that we installed NomadBSD from. And yes, it brought it up and opened a little window, which is pretty neat. And I'll just pull out that one and plug in a, I think it's a FAT32 or something like that, formatted one. Anyway, I'll plug it in and see what comes up. Hopefully it's something appropriate. There we go. Oh yeah, Pymega. Yeah, I've forgotten I tried that out ages back. So it recognised that, which is very good. I don't think I've got any more USB sticks in any other fancy format, so we'll call it that for that. And I will try a scanner now. I'm going to plug in my Canon scanner. I forgot the name of the model. I'll wait for it to detect. Oh, it's hopefully picked it up. And there's lovely Xane. It's not the most user-friendly of programs, this, and the interface is something of a bygone age. Remember when GIMP used to look like this? And so let's have a look. So that's all done there. I'm going to just try and tidy things up so we can see what's going on. Press scan and see what comes up. Well, it's obviously detected it, which is good. We're going to get a good grayscale image first. Oh, there you go. Oh, look, a Linux magazine. I get it for the Raspberry Pi stuff. Right, so that's come up fairly well. It's low format, but it's good enough for this test. I'm going to leave stuff at that and just make sure it's colour this time. I shouldn't imagine there'll be any problem. It did the grayscale, so the colour one should be alright. And is it ready? You ready? Oh, the anticipation. There we go. The colour one. So that works alright. Right, there we go. So the scanner works and the USB auto mounting works. Now here we get to the part of the video I really didn't like to make, and that's to look at the differences between what we get now and what we used to get. On the left is what we get now, on the right is what we used to get. And you can redo this tiny little section and it will show you the differences. That there are some omissions, and that's just not LibreOffice either. There are differences in applications too, which is a shame. It would appear they've removed not just the Office things. Right, so there's NomadBSD. Reviews are always subjective, and I don't like to put any kind of dampeners on any operating system I review. there's been one or two occasions when I've had to, because maybe problems came into the release, or maybe decisions were made that were perhaps based upon ideological or other reasons. And this applies to NomadBSD. I think NomadBSD is an excellent, super efficient and very user-friendly OS, like GhostBSD. And they both serve different niches. GhostBSD is a live session DVD image, which then is really meant to be installed on your hard drive. With GhostBSD, that's fine. With NomadBSD, maybe not. NomadBSD is meant to be a portable OS that you can just happen to install to your hard drive. So as a portable OS, it needs to be an all-in-one. Everything is there right from the start, which it achieves. It has all of these things. But when you take away, say for instance, the Office suite, what happens is you then take away the ability to do any work on the move. Say for instance, you can't get any internet access, so therefore you can't add things. You are left with using a basic text editor. Now, in the past, I've used NomadBSD as a portable OS. I've plugged it into a machine with permission from the, where I'm plugging it in, of course. Booted up, done some word processing, even printed some off there and then, or just saved it for later when I got home. And, you unmount the USB stick, put it in your pocket, go back home, and reload up what you've done, and then obviously save it or export it, whatever you want to do. Removing the ability to have an Office suite in it from as a default use removes a key part of what makes this what it is. It doesn't matter so much the emission for the Office suite once you install, then it becomes like GhostBSD, then it becomes easily expandable. So really, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's still fast, portable FreeBSD, and it's ready to go, which is very important to it. That's its raison d'etre. That's its whole reason to be. It's easy to set up and easy to install to the hard drives. It's based on the latest FreeBSD, which is 13.1, which for a long time we thought maybe it was going to be stuck on 13 with no updates, but the developers have come out and they've hit the goal, which is excellent for them. But there's always a fly in the ointment, and in this case, there's no Office suite included. But also, it's not just the Office suite in this, there's a reduced menu in general. And there are some applications which were around. There may have been a certain amount of duplication, maybe, like a couple of graphics viewers or 2 or 3 file managers that didn't need to be, but they've reduced that. And something which I didn't mention, there is too much choice at download. And what I mean by that is when we first went to the website and you could choose UFS or ZFS and then there was multiple mirrors. That may be very confusing to people who are perhaps not used to that. It's commendable you have that choice, and kudos to the developers for that. But for a lot of users maybe who are perhaps coming from over a more simplified Linux world where you don't have that much choice, or it's hidden behind various screens, etc., it can be very bewildering. So maybe slim that down. I don't know. It's not for me to say. So really, yes, 4 out of 5. And I still hold NomadBSD in high praise. It is a wonderful OS. As a desktop operating system, it's absolutely brilliant. It's super fast, user-friendly, brilliant. As a portable one, it's slightly diminished. Not completely. And maybe for size-wise, if they put in a small word processor, that would alleviate that. So I think 4 out of 5, still recommended. It shows you what FreeBSD can do, and kudos to the developers for continuing developing NomadBSD. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.